Few dignitaries will be there, as many have been attending throughout the day. Just this afternoon, we saw the ANC's Ace Mangosuthu as well as the EFF's Julius Malema. I do understand at this point that the Prince Mangosuthu Buthelezi is apparently standing by and sitting and waiting indeed for us to cross to him so that he can give that media briefing. Ayanda Mhlongo is there for us on standby. We do understand that there is a huge media contingent as well there in Nongoma. Of course, quite a buzz in Nongoma this afternoon. Let's take you straight there then. I do understand that the Prince Mangosuthu Buthelezi is ready at this point to give the media briefing.
For being here in this most difficult time so that our country may be kept abreast of proceedings and arrangements as we prepare to lay His Majesty to rest. There is understandably great interest not only from South Africans but from those across the continent and throughout the world who respect our monarch and our nation. We appreciate your assistance in bringing them the news, particularly at a time when COVID-19 prevents many from coming here in person. It is important that people are able to participate in this time of grieving, not only so that they can honor our King, but so that they can find healing from this deeply painful wound. It is through the images, after all, that we convey through the media that many sharing our burden and working through their own grief. Knowing this, ladies and gentlemen, I felt important that I meet with you both today and tomorrow to field any questions you may have and to ensure that accurate information goes out into the public space. We cannot afford confusion, for that deepens pain and opens the space for disunity, which is most undesirable at this time of grieving. I know that there are still some confusing reports being published about the process we will follow in the next few days. Let me therefore explain what will happen from this point on. As per His Majesty's wishes, his mortal remains will be interred in a private burial tomorrow night. That is on Wednesday night. I know that there's confusion about this. Because in Zulu, say kusitho. But in this case, in Zulu, that covers even the early hours of the morning, as long as people are not out of their beds. You know. So that confusion is caused by that. This will be done by a small number of men close to the king, fulfilling all tradition. The burial will not be attended or broadcast by any media. The public ceremony honoring His Majesty will take place on Thursday morning. It is being arranged together with the government as His Excellency President Ramaphosa kindly agreed to transform the special official Category 1 funeral into a memorial prayer service. This memorial service will be broadcast live across the nation so that mourners might have the opportunity to participate, albeit from a distance. This is unfortunately necessitated by the national regulations which are in place to prevent the spread of COVID-19. I mean, as you can see from the number of people that are coming here, even at the level of government, I don't know how many governments delegations we've had. I'm sure you've seen for yourself, even the Deputy President was here this afternoon and with Minister Didiza. And yet earlier today, we had another government, I would say delegation too, or ANC delegation if you like, where the Secretary General was here. together with our former Premier. This pandemic has already wreaked havoc, as all of you are aware, in our nation. Absolute havoc. We must therefore do our utmost to protect one another. It will not only be illegal, but indeed unconscionable to allow a large gathering in this time. It is of course extraordinary to bury a king in this manner, in the absence of thousands of mourners. And I know that there are many subjects of the king who are not happy. I remember at one meeting that someone was using expression COVID or no COVID, implying that, the grief is such that they sort of ignore even the protocols of COVID. I'm pleased to announce that I've already been in touch with our government with regard to some individuals. As you have seen in the press this morning, we have indicated that they plan to break lockdown regulations and COVID-19 protocols and descend on Mangosuthu in large numbers. So measures have been put in place to avert this. Let me state categorically, ladies and gentlemen, today that our late beloved King's funeral can never be used as an excuse to break protocols and regulations. This would have gone against his wishes. Let me just tell you an example of how conscientious he was about this. When his elder son died recently, he actually forbade me, because you know that according to scientists, elderly people like myself, who also have morbidities, and I have one of them, such diabetes, he said, to spare my life I shouldn't subject myself to infection by coming to the funeral of his own son. So it is my duty then, in the circumstances, as traditional Prime Minister to the monarch and the nation, to convey official communications to the media on behalf of the Zulu Nation, including the royal family. I'm fulfilling this duty even as I myself am mourning, in order to ensure that lines of communication are kept clear and everything is fully understood. Please use this opportunity to engage me on any further questions that you may have. Finally, I would like to say that the royal family and the Zulu Nation at large were extremely distressed and hurt by the vulgar lies that have been published in the city press. We intend taking all the necessary steps against the paper that are available to us once the mourning period has been completed. Ladies and gentlemen, that's all I wanted to say, unless you wanted me to clarify anything that you didn't understand in your statement.
Christians, please just state your name and the media house you're coming from. We'll start here and then we'll come across the name.
Okay, Shenge, thank you very much. My name is Goskona Duma. I'm from Eyewitness News. I am Goskona Duma. I'm from Eyewitness News. My first question is, when you say he's going to be interred tomorrow night, does this mean that he's going to be interred from midnight tomorrow going into Thursday? And I asked this question against the backdrop of a briefing we had, I think about 2 days ago, from the prince who spoke on behalf of the family, saying that the late king will be planted on Thursday. We understand that his send-off will be in line with Zulu customs. And I remember you, I think also about 2 years ago, saying that we will no longer have a state funeral. what can we expect to take place at the memorial service? Will we see, for example, the South African National Defence Force performing certain ceremonial activities as we have seen in previous, say, official funerals?
Thanks very much. I think that, in a sense, I'll try to answer the question. But the confusion is what about, in Zulu I would say, inkosi yoncwadi ebusuku. Ngoba kungavuki kusebusuku ebusuku. But you know that in English, once it's 12 o'clock, it's another day after that. That causes confusion. I think it was wrong for people to pretend that there was any difference in what we were saying. Because I was at the meeting, which was attended by members of the royal family, the widows, the children of the king, the brothers of the king, other senior members of the royal family, when it was actually expressed that it was the wish of the king to be buried at night, you see. In other words. So I think that confusion should be clarified by doing a question of semantics in the two languages. But with us, if you came at 4 o'clock, or phone me at 4 o'clock, I would chide you and say, for a little show. But in English, it's already another day,
So just to be clear, it is midnight tomorrow. It is from midnight to tomorrow going to Thursday.
Yes, correct.
Good afternoon, Prince. My name is Clive Ndo. I'm from The Witness. I just want to find out, you emphasized that as the Prime Minister of the Zulu Nation, you are the mouthpiece of the royal family at these kind of situations. And but we also get other people, members of the royal family, holding press conferences on the same issues that you are supposed to articulate and to communicate to the public. What's being done to address that?
Well, actually, I don't want any effort to escalate the perception that, there is a cleavage amongst us. But all of you, from the beginning, when the king was ill, I conveyed everything in my capacity as the king's prime minister. And as far as that is concerned, therefore, I have not been told by anyone that I have no right. In fact, my king is dead now. Who could say so? I do not know who is going to be in charge, if there is any interregnum at all. I don't know. But I know for a fact that after the service, the king's will be read.
Thank you. Any other further questions?
Just a minor question. I'm sorry if it will irritate you. You are saying after the memorial service, the kings will be read. Is it going to give us a clear indication of who will be the acting king or queen or successor? What exactly will that mean?
You know that it will be grossly irresponsible for me to give you a preview of what will happen, especially about a sensitive matter like that.
So you don't even know what will be given?
Because I don't know what is in the contents. So I cannot speculate, because it's the people that have got the will who said they wanted space in order to do that. So I'm just as ignorant as you are.
Sure.
Can I just follow up on the second question on what should happen on Thursday? Should we expect, for example, the National Defence Force to perform some sort of ceremonial activities? I'm asking this because I'm confused about how an official memorial service will take place in the context of this event.
You know, at a meeting that we had on Saturday night with the family, or part of the family, it was decided to choose 3 people as a community to deal with the logistics of what is going to happen. And on the same day, I was of course phoned by His Grace, my Archbishop, Dr. Tabo Sisi Mokho, who actually wanted to have more information because I think he intends actually, because the King was an Anglican, to participate in the service. Ever since they were engaged in that committee, I've not had details because when they phoned me, I told them that they should talk to Prince Buthelezi. So maybe the GIS tomorrow morning, I believe, will be here to brief. I'm sure then they are in a better position to answer those questions.
Colleagues, are there any further questions? All right, no, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Colleagues, there's copies of the statement with Mrs. Lizard to those that we want.
All right, that's Prince Mangosuthu Buthelezi there at Nongoma at the great palace, giving a media briefing there. Just a few things that he was briefing on, updating on the week's events in honor of King Goodwill Zwelithini kaBhekuzulu, saying that, of course, the Ukojalwa ceremony will be taking place Wednesday night. That's midnight tomorrow, really going into Thursday, if we can put it that way. And that then on Thursday will be the public ceremony in his honor, what we've come to understand as a memorial, but it will be technically a funeral, as it is a Category 1 funeral that will be had, which is of course where the dignitaries will be, the family will be, and we'll get a clearer understanding, I suppose, as to who will then be in attendance. Of course, we need to also understand that COVID-19 protocols need to be observed at this time, and of course Prince Mangosuthu Buthelezi raising that particular point as well, saying that the pandemic has wreaked havoc, and he himself, as someone with comorbidities, will battle in terms of the funeral that will be taking place, and of course also talking about some of the traditional practices that will be observed during the memorial as well as the Ukojalwa ceremony. So that is the update. We'll certainly be catching up with Ayanda for more information. You saw there some journalists asking quite a few questions of the Prince this afternoon.